My name's Anna Timetz. Welcome back to my channel. I am here today with JoJo, and we are working on the explanation for the LeetCode problem number 57 in Python, the insert interval. Now, I did this question almost 20 days ago, so I'm going to need a little bit of a refresher, but it did pretty well. So I got a runtime of beating 98% of users in Python, and then for memory, I got a over 65%, beating 65% of users. So this is going to be a little bit of a heftier description because it's going to it's just a little wordy. In a perfect world, I would like to have streamlined this a little bit more and maybe make it a little more concise, but obviously it did the job, so this is going to be fine. So let's start here with this merged interval. So we just initialized an empty list called merged intervals to store those merged intervals. Similar to the last question, number 56. Similar kind of vibe with how we're starting out here. We then initialize a variable I to 0, and this just keeps track of the current index while we iterate through the existing intervals. So we then just jump into this while loop, which just continues as long both of the following conditions are met. So we have the index I is less than the interval list, and the end of the current intervals, which would be intervals I1, is less than the start of the new interval, which is that interval 0. So this loop is used to add intervals from intervals, the list, that come before the new interval to the merged intervals list, because they do not overlap with the new intervals. So we break down in this while loop right through here. We use this particular line to append the current interval to the merged interval, and then we increment I to move to the next, or the index to move to the next interval. And while we break down in this second while loop, that continues as long as these two conditions are met, which is essentially the index I is less than the length of the intervals list like before, and the start. So before this loop previous, we had the end. This is the start of the current intervals is less than or equal to the end of the new interval. So start of the current interval is less than or equal to the end of the new interval, compared to the end of the current interval is less than the start of the new interval. So that is those two kind of explained. But this loop spends its time merging overlapping intervals. So it will update those new intervals by taking the minimum of its start and the start of the current interval and the maximum of the end and that current interval. So we just merge those overlapping intervals to a singular interval. And then again, we increment and move on to the next. So after we do all of that merging of intervals, the new interval now represents the merged interval. So it's appended to the merged interval list here. And then we finally enter the third while loop to add any remaining intervals from the interval list that come after the new interval and the merged interval list. Then we increment and go on to the return merged list. So like I said, this probably could have been done a little better, and like I said, it's kind of wordy because I was trying to figure out a way to, I was trying to figure out the runtime situation, which obviously was fine, but I definitely could have streamlined this better. I don't know if it would have changed the runtime of this at all, but it was just a pretty easy way to efficiently insert a new interval into a list of sorted, non-overlapping intervals. That was my thought, to produce that merge list. So I feel pretty good about it. I have this code in the GitHub repo down below of this video, and hi Jojo. You guys are more than welcome to fork and clone, make it better, make it worse, have fun, learn something new, and I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye.